Hey everyone, this is Mayor Robert Garcia, and we are here on Friday. Of course, it's May the 8th, and we are, of course, doing our updates. We do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3 p.m. And of course, you're going to be answering questions from the media as well as from anyone that's watching. And I want to thank everyone. There's obviously a lot to go over today. I know there's been a lot happening as it relates to our city's response to this health crisis. And I want to welcome again Dr. Davis, who heads up our medical and health team response, who will be giving some comments as well. And I want to thank and welcome, of course, Paola, who is safely distanced behind me, who is doing ASL, and also Teresa Ayala Castillo, who is going to be doing our Spanish translation at the end in Spanish. So también gracias, Teresa, que va a ser un recap en español after we do the media questions. And so I want to just begin by just giving some overall numbers. I want to talk to you about testing, and then I want to talk to you about the safer at home order that begins today, and then what to expect in the week or weeks ahead. Let me just begin by saying that we have approximately 898 folks who have tested positive for COVID. We know and should expect that number to continue to go up, and that's a reflection, of course, of testing, of which we're doing now a significant number of testing, and so that number we should continue to see. The good news, of course, on the side of that, is that about 565 have recovered. So of the 898, 565 have actually recovered, and again, that number also continues to go up. So it's a good sign that people are able to fight off COVID in vast majority of these cases, as we know. We have lost a total of 40 Long Beach residents. Obviously, incredibly tragic. Each one we mourn for, and our love and our prayers go out to the families. I want to note that of the 40 residents that we've lost, 32 have been associated with long-term care facilities, and the other 8 have been other members of our community. And so those 32 that have been within our nursing homes and our assisted care are the vast majority of our cases. And we've known that has been a challenge area for us, but we've worked really hard to ensure that we're testing everyone in those facilities, and we've made some progress there, and we hope to continue to do so as well. And we are grateful that there have only been, of course, those 8 within the rest of the community, and each one of them tragic as well, and we hope to keep those numbers low. These numbers, as a reminder, change as new data comes in, and all data oftentimes gets readjusted by hospitals as we learn more, and so that's something that I think we should note as we move forward. As we talk about reopening and the future, I just want to remind folks that we are guided by a few simple metrics that we look at. First and foremost is the advice of our medical team, Dr. Davis and the health department, our data scientists and our partners at LA County Health, and our partnerships and guidance from the state of California, the State Department of Health, and the governor's orders as it relate to the state. And so our decisions that we make are being made using the data that we look at. And the data that we've looked at, and I went over these on Wednesday. Why are we moving towards reopening? We're moving because our hospitalization rate has remained generally flat for the last about 25 days. Our hospitals are at 50% bed capacity. We have a total of 1,500 beds available that are available generally citywide. We've given out over 1.5 million PPE, and our positive rates and deaths per 100,000 track less than the County of Los Angeles. And of course, our testing capacity has dramatically increased. And so those data points, many of which are available on the dashboard, are why we're making the decisions that we're making moving forward. And as it relates to testing, which is the last piece I discussed, we've conducted over 16,000 tests across the city. We have now our testing capacity is over 1,000 a day. We want to make sure if you have symptoms, especially, to please get tested. Or if you're working on, you may not have symptoms, but you're working on the front lines, you're a grocery worker, or a nurse, a healthcare worker, you are driving one of our buses, you are a government worker that has contact with the public, even if you don't have symptoms, we want you to go get tested. And so remember, you can go to the longbeach.gov website and look at the testing page, sign up for a test at one of 6 sites all across the city. We've covered all parts of the city. We want you to get tested. So now I want to talk to you about today, which is the first day of our Safer at Home health orders and how they differ from what's been in place and what we need folks to do moving forward. The first and really a critical piece of it is we have chosen to, as we remember, our initial Safer at Home order ends May 15th, and was going to end May 15th. This new health order does not have an end date. And so we have extended our Safer at Home order indefinitely because now we are really moving through the state and governor mandated phases and stages that we have, of course, been talking about, which are those 4 stages. And so there is no end date. The May 15th date has been eliminated. And that aligns actually with the state of California, and most counties and municipalities have open-ended now their date. So there is no official date. As we move forward, we want to make sure now, beginning today, retailers across the city can open curbside-only pickup. And this includes florists and bookstores, clothing stores, jewelry, home furnishings, sporting goods stores, music stores, toy stores, and also car dealerships, the car showrooms within car dealerships. All of those types of retail, and especially the smaller retailers, can do curbside pickup only. I've been asked why only curbside? Why can't we go inside the stores? It's not legally allowed. That's actually a statewide order that these stores can open, but only curbside pickup. And so we know that retailers are going to need to be creative. Folks will be able to either shop online or have their items waiting for them to be picked up and purchased. But we have heard interest from a lot of retailers that are beginning to open today. And I want to congratulate them. I want to thank them for their incredible patience. And we're very grateful that a lot of those workers can also go back to work and that we can get our economy, in that case, moving again. It's really important for these retailers that a few things happen. The first is that all businesses need to implement a retail physical distancing protocol. Now, this protocol is available on our website at the longbeach.gov COVID webpage, and folks and small business owners should be able to download that retail physical distancing protocol and go through the checklist so that you can open up safely. If you are going to one of these locations, you need to continue to wear face coverings and for workers, if you're working at these locations, we need to wear face coverings and gloves. And of course, if you are coming by to a location, please have a face covering, especially if you're going to a restaurant or retailer, you're doing curbside pickup, you're interacting with folks. Face coverings and masks are really critical. And please adhere with the city's recommendations for proper sanitation and disinfection protocols. So we need everyone to disinfect spaces, and all those protocols, detailed rules and detailed advice on how to reopen businesses are available today. They've been available since yesterday evening at the city's website. We also we require employees to wash or sanitize their hands every 30 minutes. So this is all part of this ability to reopen and reopen in a way that's safe. In addition to that, we want to let people know that if you have a question and you want to make sure that you maybe need to speak with someone, our economic development team is available every day during the week, 8 to 5, and you can visit them. If you go to the economic development website at the city's website, all their information is there, including the phone number. You can call them, you can email them, and we're ready to assist you as soon as possible. So, all of those retailers, curbside, can open today. And we also need to ask the public to please be safe and be cautious. And please also know that we need the public to assess their own risks. There's a lot of folks that shouldn't still be leaving home. If you are in one of those categories and you feel you are at risk, you have that option to remain at home, and we would encourage you to do so. In addition, today, beyond those retail businesses, we've also opened up some public activities. Those include, of course, our trails. And those trails and trailheads are located, of course, at DeForest Wetlands in the northern part of the city, at our nature center in the eastern part of our city, which is a very popular spot, and at Willow Park and Willow Springs Park towards the center of the city. Those reopened today with proper physical distancing measures, and those visiting these trails should remain 6 feet apart and wear face coverings while in close contact with anyone else. So please, face coverings and remain 6 feet apart. Parking lots for these trails are also open, but should be used only by the visitors for those trails. And of course, today we've also reopening our golf courses across the city. This includes our courses at Rec Park, Hartwell, Skylinks, and El Dorado. Those are being right now disinfected and cleaned. Most of those are safely going to be opening tomorrow with proper protocols in place. And we just want to reiterate that those golf courses, along with Virginia, are opening, and they are following very strict disinfecting rules and sanitation rules, and we want to thank them. Of course, we know that the food at these locations is only available for pickup and to go, and a lot of the clubhouse activities that have existed in the past are still closed at these locations. And then, of course, on Monday, we are reopening just also a little bit more. That includes our beach and walking path along the beach, our tennis centers across the city, and our parking lots that are adjacent to our parks. Now, that happens on Monday. And again, I just want to remind everyone that everything I just discussed, we're only able to do because the health indicators are moving all in the right direction. But I want to warn everyone, and this is serious, if over the course of the next week and 2 weeks, these health indicators begin going in the wrong direction, meaning hospitalizations begin to spike or deaths take a serious turn for the worse, then we're going to have to revisit this part of stage 2, which is what we're in now, starting today, and even could roll back some of these measures. And so the only way that we maintain what we have or move forward to the next stage is to continue that flattening curve of hospitalizations, to ensure that we're still not going beyond our county partners, and that we are continue the testing and other work that's happening today. And so how do we do that? We do that by maintaining physical distancing. Just because you're on the beach trail doesn't mean you should be walking by and stopping people to chat. The beaches and parks are still closed for gathering. You cannot picnic in the park. You cannot go lay out on the beach. You can walk through a park, and you can walk on the beach bike trail, but that is all as it relates to our beaches and parks. And so we need your cooperation, and I am pleading with everyone to please do the right thing. There are today servers at restaurants, folks that are working in salons that are waiting their turn also to reopen safely. But we can't get there unless everyone else does their job on this issue. And so we need everyone to cooperate, physical distance, and please wear face coverings as you are adjacent to people, and be safe, wash your hands, take care of yourself. And again, next week, if things are going in the wrong direction, we're pausing. And if things are going really bad, we're moving backwards, and no one wants to see that. So let's just be very clear about where we're moving forward, and thank you for your cooperation on that. Now, if over the course of the next week and weeks, we've remained where we are and we are not seeing our changes to the data, we have more to look forward to in phase 2. So we know already what the state has laid out as what's on the horizon for phase 2. That was been made public, and the governor's spoken to those. So if we do a good job, what do we have to look forward to? If we do a good job this next week and the week ahead, what can we begin to discuss? We can begin to discuss things the governor has laid out, like museums and other cultural facilities and galleries. We can discuss other types of outdoor recreation. We can discuss how we even expand the work that's happening in our restaurants. Those are all other pieces of stage 2, and including additional manufacturing and public buildings. All of those types of activities we have ahead of us. And then, of course, as a reminder, we still are not close or are near stage 3. And I'm getting a lot of questions, and I understand, and frustration and anger about businesses that are categorized by the state in stage 3, including personal grooming and salons, including gyms and fitness studios. And as a reminder, these activities, even if we thought we could open them safely tomorrow, we can't. They're not legally permissible per the statewide health orders, which supersede the city of Long Beach, the county of LA, anyone else's health orders. And so the only way we get there is to be safe, to do the right thing, to wash our hands constantly, to wear face coverings when we're out interacting with folks, and then we can continue moving forward through stage 2, which is now where we're currently at today. So let's do the right thing. And as we continue to move forward, I just want to also note that we are continuing to ask people to self-quarantine and isolate when needed, and that, I think Dr. Davis is going to talk a little bit about that today. And I have 2 final kind of reminders. The first is, if you're watching this and you have not done your census. So your census, you filling out your census today, helps us fight the COVID pandemic. And how so? Because the amount of people that are counted as part of the census directly relates how much funding we get. As an example, our census numbers that we had from the last census is being used by the federal government right now to help us get resources for testing and giving us resources to help people with food banks and other things. And if we don't do an accurate count during this year's census, and we are undercounted, then we're going to be losing federal funds in the near future to get us the support we need for the health department and for COVID. So if you want to fight COVID today, you need to fill out the census today. And you can, of course, do that by going to my2020census.gov. That's my2020census.gov. And if you have not done your census yet, you can do so right now, and I would encourage you to have your family do the census as well today. And finally, I want to wish all of the moms, including my mom, who I love very much, a happy Mom's Day and a happy Mother's Day this upcoming weekend. I encourage you, if you're going to celebrate with your mom, to please remember that particularly our older parents, grandparents, that we want to keep them safe. So the more distancing that we can do, especially if we know that we have been out with other individuals, that's probably one of the best Mom Days presents we can give our families this year. And one of the things that I'll be doing this year, and I hope others will consider, is we now have florists across our city, retailers across our city, that you can safely purchase something for your mom or send your mom something through one of our local stores. I personally will be picking up some flowers for my mom from Melinda McCoy's, which is a great flower shop in Bixby Knolls. In fact, I got my flowers from there for my wedding a little over a year ago. They did a great job. Love them, and I'm going to get some flowers from my mom from there. And I encourage you, if you're not going to go to that location, there's florists across the city. Get your mom some flowers, grandparents some flowers, or something safely. And I want to thank all the small business owners that are working so hard to reopen. And so with that, I want to turn this over to Dr. Davis for more updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to start by going over the amended isolation and quarantine order. As the mayor mentioned, the CDC recently updated its guidance on COVID-19 positive or presumed positive individuals who are isolating and who are exposed and quarantining at home. This was done because of new evidence about how long you're contagious and therefore can pass the virus on to others. So in order to align with the CDC, we've amended our isolation and quarantine orders, which go into effect today. The amendment to our self-isolation order requires that individuals who have tested positive or are presumed positive, which means they might be waiting for a test but they have symptoms, it requires them to self-isolate for at least 10 days after symptoms first appear. Previously, it was for only 7 days, but it's felt now that the safest thing to do is to isolate for 10 days after your symptoms first appear. And besides the 10 days after your symptoms appeared, you also need 72 hours or 3 days of no fever and no medicines to reduce a fever. And just a reminder, isolation means separating yourself or separating a person who is sick or who actually has a disease in order to prevent them from spreading the virus to others. And if you're required to isolate, you may not leave your house or the place of isolation to enter any other public or private place for the duration of your isolation period, except to receive necessary medical care. Additionally, individuals in self-isolation are required to notify their close contacts, people who they had close contact with, up to 48 hours before their symptoms started or while they were symptomatic. And that's also a change. It was felt before that a close contact started when you began exhibiting symptoms. But now it's, data has suggested that you are actually contagious 48 hours before your symptoms start. So a person has or is likely to have COVID-19 if they've received a positive test or they've been informed by a medical professional that they could have the virus. Also, if they exhibit signs and symptoms that are consistent with COVID-19 within 14 days of being in close contact with a person who had or was believed to have had the virus. And just to review again the symptoms of COVID-19, cough, shortness of breath, and fever. And there's further symptoms that have been discovered, such as loss of taste, loss of smell, muscle aches, headache, and others. To go over the quarantining order, it requires anyone who knows they've been in close contact with a person who has or is likely to have COVID-19 to quarantine in a residence for 14 days. So quarantining is still separating yourself, but it's because you've been exposed or you've been around somebody who has the virus, and so you need to quarantine so that if you do develop symptoms and you do become infected, you haven't been exposing a bunch of other people out in the community. A person is considered in close contact with an individual who has or is likely to have had COVID-19 if they have one of the following situations. If they live with or frequent a household where the person who has or is likely to have had COVID-19 resides, so you live with or you're around someone a lot in their house who has COVID-19. If you're an intimate partner or a caregiver of someone who is likely or who has COVID-19, or you are within 6 feet of someone for more than 10 minutes of someone who has COVID-19. Or if you've had unprotected direct contact to secretions or excretions, such as someone coughing or sneezing, of someone who has or is likely to have COVID-19. So that's what makes you a close contact. If you are a close contact, you're required to quarantine yourself for the entirety of the 14 days because you're at high risk during that 14 days to develop and spread COVID-19. And you may not leave your place of quarantine or enter into any other public or private place for the duration of the quarantine period, except to receive necessary medical care. So I'd just like to end by saying Happy Mother's Day. You might have to physically distance yourself from your mom this weekend, but make sure to call her and let her know you love her. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to open it up to answer any questions from the media.
Rachel. First up, we have Rachel from ABC News. Rachel, you there?
Hey, so, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a detailed list of guidelines that non-essential businesses must adhere to in order to reopen. And how will the city monitor and enforce that businesses are following these guidelines? And I was also wondering, this is kind of off topic, but if there's any updates on the city's cooling centers.
So why don't I have Dr. Davis first answer on the cooling centers?
So we're following the heat index, and so we have the cooling centers identified, they're ready to go, they've been set up to be physically distanced and follow all the protocols to minimize the risk of COVID-19. But I don't think we're going to need to activate them. So we're watching the heat index, and it looks like things are going to hold steady where they won't need to be activated. If they do need to be activated, then you'll be able to find that on our website.
And then I think the first part of the question was about how are we going to enforce and follow the rules. So obviously the most important thing is really self-enforcement and ensuring that people are following the rules themselves. I think vast majority of small business owners want to do the right thing and will do the right thing. And oftentimes when the right thing is not done, it's because they just don't know the information. So I would encourage all business owners to go to the COVID-19 website and pull the orders. We have a very specific kind of checklist that folks can follow. And we're working with all of our business associations like in Bixby Knolls and downtown, Zephyria, Belmont Shore, North Long Beach, all the different areas, the Midtown, all these associations are working with the city to get information out to the businesses as well. And I would encourage you, they are a resource for you also to get information. And then finally, there will be enforcement. If we need to enforce and things become problematic, then of course the health department or whatever city agency that needs to be involved will be involved in that, ensuring that our orders are being followed, the health orders being followed.
Next up, we have Valerie from The Post.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is also along the lines of enforcement. Now that you guys are lifting some of the restrictions, I mean, don't you expect people to flock to the trails and the parks? Like, how is the city going to enforce the newest health order? Are we going to see tickets? What's that going to look like?
Well, I think we do expect people to start coming out. We also expect a lot of people are still wanting to stay at home and have the safety of being at home too. So it's going to be a mix. We'll see. But we are going to have, in fact, just earlier today, we were just discussing kind of this plan with the city leadership team. And we are going to have a presence out this weekend and through the week. Obviously, that includes park staff, police department staff. When the trails, the beach trail opens up, the beach path on Monday, we're going to have lifeguards out there patrolling and going up and down the beach to make sure there's no gathering and that people are moving along. And I'll be very honest, there's no like perfect science to do this. I think we have to wait and see what happens. We are going to do our best to enforce, but we need the public's help. And we will monitor, we'll enforce where we can. Police officers always have the ability to cite if there are big issues, but we would rather not give citations out. People are struggling financially, and the last thing we want to do is give out a citation that will really hurt someone financially. So just follow the rules. And if we all follow the rules together, wear face coverings, we hope that we'll be able to monitor. But I think the city reserves the right to pull back if we need to, but we just don't want to do that.
Our next question is from Haley from SoCal News Group. Haley, are you there? Haley? All right, we'll move on and see if we can get Haley back. We'll move on to Philip from Q Voice News. Philip?
Should we go ahead and
Yeah.
take some questions from Facebook?
Oh, did we get, Philip, are you there? It looks like we're having some technical issues. Do we have any other questions from Facebook? Anyone?
Nope. Okay.
Let's try with Haley one more time, and then, Haley, are you there? Let's see, Philip, are you there? All right, let's move on.
So
Let's move on to the, we'll take their questions.
We'll go ahead,
and-
yeah, if you weren't able to connect, the team will respond to you after the press event, and we'll get back to you directly. And why don't we do our Spanish translation now with Teresa Ayala Castillo.
Gracias, alcalde. Muy buenas tardes. Hoy es el 8 de mayo. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros este día. Tenemos mucha información para compartir con ustedes sobre la reapertura de la ciudad y la nueva orden de salud. Pero primero me gustaría comenzar con una actualización de nuestros números de casos. Hoy tenemos 898 residentes que han recibido pruebas positivas de coronavirus. 565 que se han recuperado y lamentablemente 40 personas que han fallecido. De las 40 personas que han fallecido, 32 son asociadas con centros de cuidado de enfermería de largo plazo. Un individuo de 40 años, 3 de 50, 7 de 60, 4 de 70 y 25 de más de 80 años. Comenzando hoy, las empresas pequeñas se reabrirán con restricciones. En vigilancia a partir del 8 de mayo, con protocolos adecuados de limpieza y distanciamiento físico, las siguientes empresas pueden operar solo para recoger o entregar a la cerca. Negocios como los que proporcionan flores, juguetes, música, libros, ropa, zapatos y joyas. Salas de exposición de automóviles de venta. Estos negocios deben cumplir con lo siguiente para volver a abrir. Permitir la recogida y la entrega solo de la cerca. Implementar un protocolo de distancia física para sus empleados y los que vienen a sus negocios antes de volver a abrir. Prohibir a los clientes que ingresen a las instalaciones comerciales. Estos protocolos incluyen que los negocios aseguren la seguridad de los trabajadores y del cliente y que proporcionen coberturas faciales y guantes a los trabajadores. Les quiero recordar que se abrieron senderos en las humedades de Forest y en el centro de naturaleza en el Parque Willow con medidas apropiadas de distanciamiento físico. Los estacionamientos para senderos también están abiertos y solo deben ser utilizados para quienes visitan los senderos. Por último, los campos de golf de la ciudad, que incluyen Rec Park, Hartwell Park, Skylinks y El Dorado Park, se abrirán mañana para garantizar que todos los protocolos de seguridad estén vigentes antes de la apertura. Esperamos que esto les brinde un poco de alivio a los dueños de negocios y también proporcione una sensación de normalidad a nuestros residentes. Quiero recordarles que esto es el primero de muchos pasos que vamos a tomar para asegurar la reapertura de la ciudad. Pero si comenzamos a ver que no siguen las reglas y las pautas, podríamos ver que es necesario retroceder las modificaciones y tendrían que ajustarse una vez más. Por favor, sigan las órdenes de salud, usen sus máscaras y mantengan la distancia. Entendemos que las personas quieren todas las respuestas y quieren saber lo que vendrá en las próximas fases de reapertura, pero debemos recordar que esta decisión son basadas en la ciencia y que la prioridad sigue siendo la salud pública. También les quiero decir que a partir del 11 de mayo, las siguientes ubicaciones se abrirán al público, siempre y cuando cumplan con las medidas de distanciamiento físico. Canchas de tenis, siempre que existan protocolos adecuados de sanitamiento y distanciamiento físico antes de la operación. Carriles para bicicletas y peatones a lo largo de las playas. Estacionamientos de parque, al igual que los estacionamientos de la playa, permanecen cerrados. Les quiero recordar que también no hemos vuelto a abrir museos, otras instalaciones culturales, recreaciones al aire libre con pelotas y otros equipos que es compartido. Es posible llegar a esta fase siempre y cuando sigan las órdenes de salud, usen sus máscaras y mantengan la distancia. Tampoco hemos llegado a la etapa 3, que es donde se encuentran los servicios de aseo personal como salones de belleza, aseos de mascotas, gimnasios y comedores y restaurantes. Por último, les quiero recordar que es muy importante que llenen el censo. Esta vez, hace 10 años, teníamos muchas más personas que han llenado el censo. Tal vez sea que hemos estado muy preocupados con el virus de corona, pero es importante que llenen el censo porque esto nos va a ayudar a recibir dinero a la ciudad para poder seguir la batalla contra coronavirus y con la salud pública. Por favor, hacerlo en línea visitando my2020census.gov, que quiere decir mi 2020census.gov. Por favor, sea contado. Y finalmente, un feliz Día de las Madres, especialmente a la mía, que la quiero mucho. Por favor, visiten a los negocios y usen protección, que ellos están muy listos para atenderles. Los Centros de Control y Prevención de Enfermedades actualizaron recientemente su guía sobre las personas positivas o presuntas positivas de COVID-19 que están aisladas y las que están en cuarentena en sus hogares. Esto se hizo porque la nueva evidencia dice que el virus puede ser infeccioso antes de lo que se pensaba y puede demorar más en recuperarse. La actualización a nuestra orden de aislamiento requiere que las personas que han salido positivas o presumen estar positivas con COVID-19 se autoaíslen durante al menos 10 días después de que aparecieron los síntomas por primera vez. Anteriormente esto era solo 7 días y al menos 3 días después de que tengan síntomas sin el uso de medicamentos. Recuerde que el aislamiento significa separar una persona que está enferma para evitar que propague el virus a otras personas. Si tiene que aislarse, no puede abandonar su lugar de aislamiento ni ingresar a ningún otro lugar público o privado durante el periodo de aislamiento, excepto para recibir atención médica. Una persona tiene o es probable que tenga COVID-19 si reciben una prueba de laboratorio positivo para COVID-19, tienen síntomas que son consistentes con COVID-19 dentro de los 14 días que están contactados cercano con una persona que tuvo o que tenía o puede tener COVID-19, han sido informados por una persona médica que es probable que tengan COVID-19. Se considera que una persona está en contacto cercano con una persona que tiene o es probable que tenga COVID-19 si estuvieron a menos de 6 pies de alguien que tenía o probablemente que tenga COVID-19 por más de 10 minutos, ha tenido contacto directo sin protección con estornudos o tos de alguien que tenía o es probable que tenga COVID-19, vive con o frecuenta en un hogar donde hay una persona que vive con COVID-19. Es un cónyuge o es un cuidador de alguien que tiene o pueda tener COVID-19. Si tiene un contacto cercano, debe ponerse en cuarentena durante todo el periodo de incubación de COVID-19, que es 14 días. porque puede tener alto riesgo de desarrollar y propagar COVID-19. Para leer más de estas enmiendas completas o estas órdenes de salud o para encontrar otra información relacionada a COVID-19, por favor visite al sitio de web de Long Beach, que es el www.longbeach.gov COVID-19 o llamar a nuestra línea de información, que es el 562-570-4636. Gracias.
Y muchas gracias. Y también quería decir que tuvimos un town hall en español, creo que fue ayer o el día antes de ayer, y tuvimos 6,000.
6,000.
6,000 gente que llamaron a nuestro town hall. So we had a town hall in Spanish. About 6,000 people joined us a few nights ago. So thank you to everyone that joined. Y gracias por los que estaban en ese town hall. And thanks again. Have a safe weekend. Physically distance. Stay safe, please. Happy Mother's Day. And we'll see everybody on Monday. Thank you.